Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea. Here we go. Raheem Sterling deal agreed, complete. All that's needed now is the medical and official confirmation from Chelsea, and Raheem Sterling will be a Chelsea player. But we pretty much are there, and I think there was still some sort of concern. We had the personal terms agreed, what was it, on Wednesday or Thursday? But then it's kind of dragged on a little bit. There's kind of been concerns that that sort of deal is kind of being merged with the Raheem Sterling one. And I think people just would like to see one of these deals announced, particularly as the players travelled out with Thomas Tuchel to the US today. And of course, they want to get Sterling out there as soon as possible to start to integrate with his new teammates. Some of those obviously he knows, not only playing against them in the Premier League, but of course from international level for England. But it's so exciting, it really is. I mean, I kind of tried to restrain my excitement the other day and in recent weeks because, listen, we know what has gone wrong with Chelsea's transfer policy in recent years and some of the big signings that we felt would be the saviour. I'm not sitting here and I'm going to frame Raheem Sterling as that player because I think that's a little bit naive. And in terms of the way Tuchel's going with Chelsea, it is much more about sort of a team coming together and multiple individuals helping. But Raheem Sterling is an incredible individual in terms of what he's done in his career. And I spoke about it the other day. Some of the numbers throughout his career are just so impressive. But I think the deal in itself, I know people were flagging concern over the amount we're paying for him, not only in terms of the fee, but also the wages. He is going to become Chelsea's highest paid player. David Ornstein, who broke the story tonight from The Athletic, that is a 47.5 million deal. The 27-year-old has agreed personal terms on a 5-year contract with the option of a further 12 months, which I think we heard from Matt Lord the other day. Chelsea are now working through the logistics of scheduling a medical in London. If all goes to plan, Sterling will join his new teammates out on their pre-season tour to the United States, and maybe we'll see him in the Club America game next Sunday, hopefully, if things are done quickly enough. And I made this connection when we got the personal terms sort of agreed, and I wrote an article about this for Football London. I made a connection to Cesc Fabregas when he signed at the same age, 27 years old. I know the situations were different, and I know that obviously they play in different positions and they bring different things to the team. But just that sense of that already experienced player who has proved himself in the Premier League, but kind of wants to go again. There's sort of that burning ambition of maybe feeling that he could be playing more, could be doing more, could be contributing more to his current team, and that maybe he's been written off and forgotten about. That maybe is kind of that burning desire within Raheem Sterling. I found it quite incredible hearing some reports. I think it was from Sam Lee, who works for the Telegraph. He's a Man City reporter, saying that like last summer Sterling had sort of asked for a loan, which kind of seems ridiculous for a player of Sterling's talent and his influence at Man City. But it kind of showed how desperate he was to play and how concerned he was over his playing time in the previous seasons. But here, with this opportunity that Sterling has at Chelsea, he comes in as such a proven player. And in an attack that has been so the opposite of the attack that Sterling is coming from, but also with what Sterling has produced, outscoring Chelsea's best and top goal scorer over the past 5 seasons. He's hit double figures in the league in the past 5 seasons. The amount of goals reaching the 100 club in the Premier League from a wide position. All of the stats, as I say, that we can throw out and talk about that are just impressive. Whatever you think, if you have critique of Sterling as a player and maybe his inconsistency and some of his poor misses, or maybe the concern of adaptation to Chelsea, still what he is bringing or his reputation, I think, means a lot coming into this Chelsea dressing room. And you get the sense with some of these reports that Chelsea players are quite excited for Raheem Sterling to arrive and seeing what could be done with him in the team and what Tuchel was planning with the team, and particularly with the formation. I find that really interesting. I find it interesting that with the pursuit of Rafinha as well, kind of these true wide players, what is Tuchel planning? And the good thing with pre-season, we're hopefully going to get a glimpse of some of these plans in the coming weeks. I think 47 million, listen, it's all about how he does at Chelsea, kind of the biggest understatement ever, and so obvious to say, but in terms of the value that he brings, I think him becoming the highest paid player makes sense if you're just looking at what he's done in his career over the past 5 to 6 years compared to a lot of Chelsea attackers. I just think that logically makes sense if you're buying a player in their prime, and that is what Sterling is. I think maybe it's been forgotten because of him being a bit more of a rotational figure at Man City and that feeling that it was the time for him to move on. you know, he still has years ahead of him. I'm sure he still thinks that. And if he remains durable, you know, you're looking at some of the big attackers in the Premier League, the likes of Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, a lot of them at Liverpool, but some of these attackers that go into their 30s, if Sterling can do that and maintain it and feel like with more responsibility on his shoulders at Chelsea, he can continue to grow and get better and maybe put some of the mistakes of the past or maybe things he still feels he needs to improve on as a player. Chelsea could be getting a very, very valuable deal here, considering what we paid for Lukaku last summer. Chelsea don't have the best track record when we go sort of above 50, particularly for attacking players. So with Sterling, maybe he's in that golden place where he can impact the team, and hopefully this will turn out well. I think the biggest thing as well is the fact that he has proven himself in the Premier League, and we saw Ben Chilwell, a player who he could be connecting with on a regular basis on that left side of Chelsea's attack. We saw the impact Chilwell had when he came in from Leicester and how quickly that adaptation happened compared to other players. I think there is a great value in that, and maybe that is what Tuchel with Ake, with Sterling, with Rafinha, and maybe some other players is looking towards kind of that certainty of you don't want that sort of culture shock constantly with players coming in and it takes them half a season to adapt. It doesn't mean that we don't buy outside the Premier League, because there are some great deals to be had, but maybe just that sense of certainty and knowing what Sterling has done and knowing that Sterling has so much knowledge of the Premier League that maybe he can pass on to others in this squad as well. So I'm excited to see it announced. I'm excited to see what number he's going to get, because I don't think he probably wants to touch the number 9 shirt, and as a wide player it's interesting to see what number he can take, because if N'Golo Kante sticks around, he probably isn't going to get the number 7, and considering another player we've been linked with who'd want the number 7 as well, and also just getting him over to the US and starting to see how he integrates and connects with the team. I'm really interested to see how Tuchel uses him. I really hope Tuchel allows him to go into those best sort of attributes that he's had for years and years, being able to attack the back post, you know, particularly if you think about Reece James on that right side. Raheem Sterling is quite a versatile player. He is able to go side to side. He can even play a more central role if Tuchel wants him to. And the great thing compared to recent years is Sterling's going to get a pre-season, or at least a pretty decent one at that, because a lot of our recent signings have not been able to because of COVID, because of last season with Lukaku, we signed him really late. So hopefully that will help along the process of him adapting to life at Chelsea as well. Let me know your opinions. Hopefully we're going to get some official confirmation soon. We're going to get an announcement video from Raheem Sterling. It may be as soon as tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure. They may wait till the medical is done, which obviously is kind of the final hurdle for him to become a Chelsea player, and all the papers are signed, and then Sterling will be a Blue. The first signing of the Todd Boehly era, I think it is a statement one. There were many months we've heard about Boehly wanting to make a statement. I think this is a statement. You're getting a player in his prime years who's provided many goals, one of the best wide forwards in the Premier League for the past 5 years for the dominant domestic force. And I think some people who are sort of calling this as Chelsea getting kind of the scraps of Man City, really disrespectful to Raheem Sterling. And I think when you actually look at what Sterling's contributed and what some City fans are saying with him leaving, I think kind of reflects how important a player he has been for that club, and hopefully will be for Chelsea. Thank you guys for watching this video. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea, subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. All the best.